up, guys? It's Tommy here. So today's topic is about how to run the perfect demo. And I've run hundreds, if not thousands, of demos for clients. And the biggest mistake here that people make is that they think the demo is the first demo is a presentation. It's not supposed to be a presentation. It's not about going through the slide deck. It's really about understanding your customer and their world, okay? So explain a basic breakdown of the demo, and then you can read the article below and see how it's really structured and done. So in the beginning, the first part is introductions and understanding the prospect's reason for taking the call. So in the beginning, you introduce yourself, get everybody to introduce themselves if there's multiple people on your prospect side, and build rapport. When you hop on the call, you can make a little bit of small talk just to build rapport. So how you doing? Any plans coming up this weekend, and then share any plans that you might have, and get an understanding of why they joined the meeting, especially if this was an inbound call where they had requested the meeting from a form fill on a website or anything like that. Ask them why they're there to join the meeting. What if there's anything that is specifically they're looking for, so you can make sure that you can provide it for them. And then just professionally and real quickly set the agenda for the meeting. Say, hey, Mr. Prospect, thanks for joining the meeting here today. Just to set a brief agenda. The intention for this call was really to provide a high-level overview of how we help similar customers in a similar space, and also get an understanding of what's going on in your guys' world and the things that are top of mind for you guys. And I think by having that understanding, we can then maybe pinpoint a couple key pieces of relevant information or something about a product that I think would be helpful for you. And does that sound good? So what you're doing is you're setting expectations for the meeting, letting them know, hey, this is really just a high-level introduction here today. We're really just here to understand what's going on for you guys. And by having that understanding, then we can make a couple key recommendations or keep a few demonstrations of our product, a few aspects of our product that can really help you based on what we're going to understand about you from this conversation. So you're teeing it up to let them know that this conversation is a high-level introduction on how you're helping other people just like them, and really meant for you to understand them and their world and what's going on with them, so you can make a few key recommendations that's going to help them. Okay, it's much like a doctor, where you go to a doctor and first, the doctor just doesn't give you medicine without asking you what's going on. I mean, they spend most of the time trying to hear you out and assess, hey, what's going on? What kind of symptoms are there? What are you feeling? And then at the end, they'll make a recommendation and, maybe prescribe a certain piece of, medicine or something. It's very, very similar, okay? Most of the demo, the quote-unquote demo, should be a qualification discovery call to understand your prospect, just like a doctor understands their patients, okay? So the other piece, the second portion after you've done introductions and set the agenda, is just provide a brief context, a brief background on your company and how you're helping other people just like your prospect. And I typically like to do this through a story. Tell a story of how your company came to be, why you guys exist, what your purpose is, and how you help people just like them. So to give you an example, to tell that about Saleslucky, I'll say, well, Saleslucky, I really created Saleslucky because when I was starting out in sales, communication was actually, and interpersonal skills was actually a huge pain point of mine. And when I had started out in sales and selling, there were a whole lot of things that I wished I had known and people had taught me, and so that I didn't have to go through the pain and the hardship of trying to figure out those things myself. Because as you might know, in the movies and in the media, they portray salespeople a certain way, and all throughout life, when we grow up, we have this understanding of what salespeople are supposed to be. Maybe smooth talkers or gregarious or loud spoken or very high pressure people or use high pressure tactics. So, those were misconceptions that I had when I started out in sales. And the reason I created Saleslucky is because I wanted to help other people. And I knew that, hey, if I was starting out today again, these were some things that I wish I would have known when I started out. So that's why I created Saleslucky. So in a similar fashion, tell your story of why your company exists, why you guys are here, what you guys do, and how you guys help people just like your prospect. Again, it's not really about your product or your service. It's about how you help people just like your prospect, okay? Now, the third part of the demo is really where the meat is. Now, this should be about at least half of the call if you're doing a 30-minute call. If you're doing a 45-hour-long call, again, it should be really at least half the call, even better if it's more. And after you tell your story, you can say something like, hey, that was a brief high-level overview of our company and what we do and how we're helping others in your space. Now, at this time, what I'd like to do is just to have would love to just understand your world. What's going on in your world, what's top of mind for you. Maybe what are some of the top challenges and pain points that you're running into with regards to the context of what we're discussing here today. And the reason I say that is because I think by having an understanding, I can then make a couple key recommendations that would be helpful for you. So again, you're setting it up to let them know that, hey, this is really a conversation about your world, about what's going on for you, because at the end of that, after I have an understanding of what's going on for you, only then will I be able to make a relevant suggestion, a relevant prescription, if you will, again, using that metaphor of a doctor. So now, this is where most of the call happens, and this is really where the sale is made. This is so important because the things and topics and conversation that happens in this space is really what allows your prospect to buy in or really buy your product and see value in your product and really have their pain points expanded on, because at the end of the day, everyone loves talking about themselves. Everyone loves talking about their own world. And this portion of the call, you're talking about them. You're talking about what's important for them. You're talking about what they're going through. They're talking about their pain points and all those things. It doesn't matter who it's going to be. People are going to care about that because it's about them, right? People are not really going to care about your product. If you go through a slide deck of your product, that people just don't care about that. People don't care about a slide deck. People don't care about your product. And most beginner reps, that's what they don't understand. So you want to learn to get in the habit of discussing their world, because no matter who it is, they're always going to be interested in their world, because again, it's their world. We're all interested in ourselves, right? So learn to ask questions, and by asking questions, open-ended questions that uncover their pain points, their desires, and their wants, that does multiple things. That's expanding their pain points. That's getting them to align their vision with what they truly want. Again, it's all about them, the things that matter most to them, what's keeping them up at night, what they desire most, what they want to achieve. And you're understanding the things that matter to them so that you can help them achieve those things. And again, it becomes no longer about your product, but about them and what they want and what they want to get solved. Okay? And the other thing that this will do is it will help you take the pressure off of yourself as quote unquote the salesperson, because again, a lot of beginner reps, they get nervous and they get anxious because they get in this point where they don't know what to say. They feel like they have to know the right things to say, but it doesn't matter what you say. It's not about you. It's not about what you say. It's about what they say. And you facilitate that conversation through asking the right questions. There's other articles I've written, a blog post on right questions, qualifying needs development, which I'll link in this blog post here. But understand that it's about asking the right questions to expand and uncover and expand their pain points and get them to align what they want most, their deepest desires and their visions, with what you're providing. So it's about expanding their pain points, uncovering, expanding their pain points until they can no longer they can no longer deal with it, to where it's urgent for them to solve it, and then ask them what they want, what they truly want, what they most deeply want, and then as they're talking about those things, you'll be able to understand if and how your product will help them solve those pain points and get to where they want to go. And at the end of the day, this is always going to be effective pretty much because you're understanding what problems they want to solve and where they want to get to, okay? I think I've made that point clear now. And then the last part of the demo, part 4 is where you actually make a few key recommendations based on the things they've told you, based on their pain points, the problems they want to solve, and what they want most, what their visions and goals are, what their deepest desires are. By having that understanding of those things, their pain points and their wants and desires and their needs, you can then, just like a doctor, prescribe a few key things that would help them solve those problems and get to where they want to go. And hey, if it just so happens to be a product or service that you're providing, then you can take it from there, okay? So that's how a perfect demo is done. That's how an ideal demo is done. The key takeaway here is it's about talking about your prospects' problems, goals, desires, the things they want to solve, their greatest needs, wants, and desires, and their visions, and talking about their world so that you can understand and listen appropriately to what they're sharing with you, and really understanding their world so that, just like a doctor, you can prescribe them a few key things at the end of that call. Ideally, a handful of minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, where you're prescribing to them a few key things that are going to make a huge impact, and based on what they've told you and what you now know about their world, okay? All right, guys, that's how you run a perfect demo. That's how you take your prospect through an engaging and impactful process to understand their world so that you can help them. And again, so that you can, the key word here is help them at the end of the day. All right, guys, I'll see you guys soon.